Yo, what is up, everyone? How's everybody doing? If you're in the chat, let me know. Um, thank you guys for coming. Uh, and actually, this is the first episode of the new rebranding of the channel. Thank you guys for coming. Just adjusting my seat right now. First and foremost, I owe you guys an apology. I meant to do one last week. I had a lot of bad things happen last week and even partially into this week that I'm still dealing with. One of them, unfortunately, an acquaintance of mine's committed suicide, and that kind of dragged me down for the whole week. Uh, so I'm a little bit bummed on that. Um, so I'm just kind of drained on that. Second, um, I've been busy with my company. I have a cybersecurity consulting company I just started, which is why I disappeared for 8 months or so, because I was setting that up and getting that up and running. And I had some things hit down that I had to go take that. And salute to you, my friend Buck. What's going on? Um, I had that going on. Plus, there's been some beefing going on with Colombia. I don't know where that popped out of, but I kind of changed this channel over to get away from the beefing and all this other stuff, because I want to focus on just strictly just traveling. So there's not even keywords dealing with passport bros or men's traveling or any of that stuff in my in any of my searches. We're just going to do traveling here, and that's something I want to focus on for now on. Um, So I do have a video I am working on. I'm putting that together. I'll get that out as soon as I can. But I figured let me just pop on because I really feel bad not doing that live stream. What's up, Process the Journey? How you doing, my brother? Glad you're here. Okay. Um, as you guys know, we are in a unjust war, and don't let me go down that political pipeline because I'll probably get shadow banned. Um, there's a war going on. Uh, and right now, the oil is being shut off because a lot of 20% of the world's oil is coming out through the Strait of Hormuz, and along with that, other goods and stuff. So that is causing an issue with traveling because of jet fuel. So you guys can get a better idea how effective this is. These videos I'm going to show you is going to give you the deep down dirty on what's going on with the whole crisis that's going to be with the airlines, because the ticket prices are going to jump up. We're going to have canceled flights, and this is not going to just going to be something that's just going to be over overnight, because you have to remember when this war started, Iran took out a lot of refineries that's over there, and the process that stuff and everything is it's going to take time. And even if we start getting ships over there, to get those ships over there to get the fuel and then get out, is going to be a backlog. So all this is going to be taking time, but let's get into the video and I can just stop along the way and we can talk about some of the things that's going to be said.
Correspondent Margaret Brennan joins me now. Margaret, always great to have you here. What'd you learn?
Well, we spoke with the CEO of Chevron and tried to bottom line it, because the president, some of his cabinet members are telling us gas prices they expect to come down relatively soon over the next few months. That was not my understanding after having this conversation. In fact, Worth told us it's really hard to make any kind of assumption because the dynamics affecting supply are so unusual. I asked him, the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of global supply kind of congested at this moment. He said when they get to a point where they're considering sending vessels, he does expect the U.S. Navy to potentially escort the first ships that go through there. But we are not at all at that point. He made that clear. If there is a risk to personnel or the vessel from an Iranian launch of a missile or from a mine, no way, no go. And he said as well that supply is really tight. We've been talking about gas prices. He said, be prepared for what's coming on jet fuel. Take a listen.
I want you to keep something in mind. Our reserves right now are very low. That's because we used, in the last administration, they got us down to like 30% of our reserve, and we're trying to get our reserve back up. I think one of these clips I'll show you will talk about that. But our reserve right now is down. And with the oil that we have here, we have plenty of oil. It's just we don't have the resources to produce it because you got the elements, the different seasons and stuff, the manpower to do this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of regulations we have to go through that's different from overseas to produce the oil that comes up here. A lot of environmental regulations on top of that. So getting the oil out of our ground, it's an issue.
You mentioned jet fuel. That doesn't have as long of a life, right? You have to refresh and replenish storage pretty quickly. We're reading about airports running out of jet fuel. What's the reality there? What is the supply, and what does that mean for Americans who might want to travel?
Yeah, inventories of jet fuel in certain parts of the world were at seasonally relatively low levels before the conflict began. The Middle East refiners are significant exporters of jet fuel, particularly to Europe, where 75% of Europe's imported jet fuel tends to come from those refineries. It's not flowing today. So
it's not flowing because when they started this unjust war, Iran took them out. So you got to rebuild those refineries again. How long is that going to take? It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to be a couple months, maybe a year type of thing to get those refineries back up so they can start processing that thing.
Seeing jet fuel tighten very quickly in Europe, in Asia, and we're seeing airlines announce adjustments in their flight schedules. We're seeing it flow through into fares. I think that's one of the first places it'll be felt most broadly. I mean, we've seen some upward pressure on gasoline prices now. I think aviation is clearly an area where it's going to probably get worse over the next few weeks. Get worse
over the next few weeks, but that has a lag effect. I mean, what you're saying is if you're buying a trip to Europe, expect to pay a heck of a lot more, even if it's months from now.
Yeah, again, I can't predict how the airlines are going to price their product, but I think the upward pressure that they're seeing on prices and the tightness in the market is likely to lead to further route optimization, and so flights may not be as abundant as they otherwise would have been. I think planes will probably be more full than they would have been, and yes, fares could be higher.
Just to give you an idea, guys, I did some research from Arizona to Mexico. That's usually about $300-400 if you book it out, maybe 2 or 3 months ahead. I'm looking at fares right now, booked ahead, $600. $600 already. And we're just 3 hours away from like major cities like Playa del Carmen, Cancun, Mexico City, Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, 600. What up, Ulysses? What's going on, brother? Yeah, airfare is gonna be expensive. So if you guys got any ideas of going on a trip, get the tickets now, because if they start booming this weekend, start attacking Iran, I'm gonna tell you those tickets are gonna shoot up, bro.
So what you heard him describe there is how we'll feel it. But what he was saying is the challenge is the shock absorbers that are built into the system to protect in moments like this. Those are being drained because of how long this conflict has been sort of a question mark. Like, we are in this truce that's not quite clear it's a truce, so you can't say the war is over. We've already seen President Trump take these emergency measures, tap the stockpiles, he lift temporary.
You know what? Let me, because I got a question I got to ask. Hold a second. Let me let this run for a second.
Some sanctions. And you saw again today an extension of the Jones Act waiver. Right. That is that 1920s law that requires American ships to come into American ports. Now they can use ships from anywhere, basically, to move things faster. So we're somewhat at the limit of those things that can be done domestically to offset the prices that Americans are going to feel.
And one of the things I've been reading about, Margaret, is before the war began, there were a lot of vessels on the sea with lots of things inside them. And they've almost all reached their destinations now, meaning that supply was sort of floating along and reaching markets, buffering this a little bit in this 5 or 6 weeks of the war. Now, with all that delivered and very little in the pipeline from the Strait of Hormuz, these supply things are getting tighter by the day.
That's what he was describing. Now, of course, as a company in the private sector, they're going to look for opportunities. But this pressure in the near term, they aren't ready to redirect fully, right, to totally change their business plan. They do see opportunity domestically, but we also spoke about how restrictive it is in terms of ramping up domestic supply. You hear President Trump talk all the time about energy independence. Actually tapping into the supply at home in greater amounts is going to take time. And then ultimately, what energy CEOs like Mike Wirth would like to see is a change to how this is regulated in America. He says it's easier to stop than start tapping into American supplies. And for that, you need Congress. And as we know, they're not getting a lot of bills through these days.
An institution that's more than a little bottlenecked just now.
Also, yes. Also a little congested at the moment, yes. Major Garrett.
No particular hostilities, just ideological ones that we're all well too familiar with. Margaret Brennan, always a pleasure.
Yeah, because they're making money off of this deal. That's the thing.
Worse before they get better. KTLA's John Finoli.
Soar. United Airlines.
Yeah, I dropped the link if you guys want to come up. I wasn't planning on having anybody come up, but Ulysses, come up. I got questions to ask you about your ticket if you want to share that with us. But I dropped the link if you guys want to come up. I ain't lying. These tickets are getting expensive, man. Europe, I'm gonna tell you. I was talking to one of the YouTubers. He's going to Thailand, and he's telling me, "Yo, I'm saving up for that big because that trip is going to be very expensive." So he just couldn't believe it, and usually he finds cheap prices and stuff like that. So, hey, Buck.
Hey, man, what's going on, bro?
Dude, these prices are like crazy now. They're gonna get crazy, dude.
The prices. So I've been looking at Latin America. It's actually the same as 5-6 years ago. So, because at least from but if you go to Europe and Asia, it's pretty much doubled.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know how we got a lot of travelers and stuff like that. I've never seen it that expensive, Like for me going to Mexico, it's doubled. They were like $650. Yeah, $650 from Arizona. That's crazy.
Are you booking it at a certain day or what? Because on the weekends it's kind of off. On the weekends, it's kind
No,
of high.
my usual plan when I leave a certain day, it's always the cheapest day. But now it's just like when I went and researched it for like October, I chose the cheapest day, and the thing was just like expensive as hell. Hey Ulysses, I'm afraid to ask this question. What they charged you for your ticket?
It was like it wasn't too expensive. I was talking about like I should have put like a comment. So like I got my ticket before it got more expensive. I paid like 400 one way from Sao Paulo to Cancun, but I got it right now because I know I was like if I wait another 3 more weeks, it's probably gonna go up maybe 500-600. So I just decided to get it right now. But I think the flights now, even in Latin America, are super more expensive because you used to be able to get a flight from Rio to Argentina for like $100, 150, and now it's like 200. I think I paid like 250, but they're going up in prices though for sure, even in Latin America. So that's something to be aware of. Yeah.
Wow. Damn. I didn't expect it. Well, I knew it was coming, but I think this weekend, the ceasefire is supposed to be over and done with. So I don't know what's going to happen
Yeah, but
next.
that ceasefire is bullshit because right now I know that Hezbollah and the IDF are going at it back and forth, man. So that ceasefire collapsed from the moment they announced it. Like I'm seeing like videos of like drones hitting the IDF. I saw a video of a IDF soldier getting sniped yesterday in the head. Like his helmet came off and he like fell down to the ground. I'm like, bro, I was like, so much for the ceasefire. And I'm seeing drone videos of them getting hit hard. I'm like, bro, I saw was it yesterday a drone going off on evac. They're evacuating some wounded soldiers from the IDF, and like the drone
Yeah, I
hit like
saw
right
that
next to
too.
the. Yeah, I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like one of the first things we taught us as infantry guys how to pull security on outside of a helicopter. Those dudes are just literally just laying down with their weapon. Like, bro, that has to be the most undisciplined motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life, bro. And undisciplined for like everything that I look at them like, bro, like where's your security? Where's your like why are you all on top of a damn armored vehicle? You're in a combat zone, like whatever, man.
Yeah, but this right now, the pricing we're seeing right now, we don't the fuel. Let me just play this video actually.
A warning, it could raise ticket prices by as much as 20% as jet fuel costs surge.
And experts warn things could get worse before they get better. KTLA's John Fenolio live at LAX tonight. John.
Micah, share that's right. Air travel is getting more expensive at the worst possible time. So many folks are trying to take those summer trips. We're talking about double-digit airfare hikes in the months ahead. And industry experts warn that once these prices go up, they're likely to stay up for quite some time. Your summer escape may be taking off, but your wallet is going to take the hit as the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran sends airfares soaring. Travelers are already feeling the pinch.
You can fly $69 one way to Vegas. That ticket costs like $500. Round trip to Vegas.
Damn.
I mean, people voted for him something. I don't know, man. Like
But see, it's oh Jesus, man. I haven't even checked the airfares lately, but
I was gonna ask you, have you seen like yesterday they announced it on the White House, like they have the new passport with the president's face on it? Did you see that?
I'm just gonna have to wait to change my passport then.
Yeah. Here's like on the 250th anniversary of the country, like his face comes on the first page. I'm like, bro, come on, dog. Like, imagine me traveling somewhere in the Middle East with this asshole's face on it.
Dude, I was gonna change my passport because I have, Israeli stickers on it, and certain places don't want that. And I wanted just to get a brand new passport. But since they put in Trump, it's like, what's the damn difference? Might as well just hold on to this one. Bad, man.
I thought it was a bad joke when I saw it. Somebody sent it to me yesterday. This is like AI, and I looked at it, and it's like, no, it's actually the website. White House, I'm like, bro.
Yeah, traveling right now, it's good. It's just bad right now. So I'm telling people, it's like, I think a lot of these travel channels are not going to be as profitable. And not people ain't going to be making as money because traveling is. I don't know who's going to be donating money to who, because even right now with this economy right now, I can't be donating money to people, man, to go travel. And they travel and I'm not traveling. That doesn't make any sense, man. But anyway, let me go hit this video. Oh, sorry.
Costs like $500 round trip to Vegas. So I mean, everything's going up. See it in the gas prices, see it in the ticket prices. So I guess when their gas go up, their tickets go up.
Fuel costs are way up. The price of oil has been swinging sharply as the war drags on and the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, which has removed about 20% of global oil supplies and disrupted energy markets worldwide.
The Middle East refiners are significant exporters of jet fuel. Flights may not be as abundant as they otherwise would have been. I think planes will probably be more full than they would have been, and yes, fares could be higher. I think aviation is clearly an area where it's going to probably get worse over the next few weeks.
Jet fuel prices are up almost 70% since the start of the war in late February, up 100% from this time last year. Now, one of the largest U.S. carriers.
Yep, that's a good point. So what is that going to do with the visitors?
I don't know, man. It's good for me because I want to be in Mexico. I'm looking at for cheap World Cup tickets. Right now, they're overpriced, bro. Like super expensive. I'm not about to spend $1,500 or even $800. I paid one ticket for the Colombian game, $500, but it's because I was like, I got to see at least one game. But they might be good. Like there might be some deals. Like I'm thinking, like right now, people are like that bought the tickets that are reselling them. They're trying to get like a bunch of money. But the World Cup, I feel like I'm gonna wait like 3 or 4 more weeks. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to cancel their flights and they're going to sell the tickets for super cheap. So I'm going to just buy a few and I'm going to go watch more games and shit. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, man.
And I don't have to pay for an apartment or nothing. I'm going to be staying with my family. So it's good for me. I don't give a damn. They're like.
Yeah. And then this whole thing, Spirit might dissolve if they don't get a bailout package. Wayfair Airlines can go. They can go. I'm not even shedding a tear if Wayfair Airlines go. I know a lot of these dingy people that go over for pay for play, they're gonna be disappointed, but I'm not. That's their favorite airline. But anyway.
United Airlines is about.
Hey Buck, do you got any travel plans this year?
I bet I was muted. Yeah, I'm not gonna announce the other place I'm going, bro. I'm keeping it hidden, bro. It's like I don't want to kind of mess it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I was just keeping it hidden. And I'll put it in the back chat when you want. But I don't want to mention. I don't want to mention the place because like.
Oh no, you have to mention. I was just wondering if you got any travel.
Yeah, I got a couple of plans. One is gonna be back to South America. Then another one is gonna be, what is it? East Asia.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
just have a plan B, bro, because they might get super expensive, the flights, bro. Just be prepared. I would just say that to you, bro.
Yeah, be prepared. Yeah, because they was running real short of, because the issue may not be you going there, as far as the fuel issue. The issue is going to be you getting over there and either traveling to connecting flights or you coming back. That's where the issue is going to come into, especially when you talk in Southeast Asia, because they're really short down there with jet fuel.
Pass the spike in fuel prices on to consumers. United CEO Scott Kirby saying the company will likely raise the price of airfare by 15 to 20%. Industry experts warn once United raises prices, other major airlines will likely do the same.
I think if once United does it, they're all going to follow suit. So you can expect 15 to 20% higher. Airlines have very small margins. So when fuel prices go up or something else happens, they're going to lose money when they're flying on certain routes. So that's why they have to either implement a fuel surcharge, raise fares, or cut routes. And you're seeing this across the board.
But for some, higher airfares are just more turbulence in an unsteady economy. And they say they're not about to let their travel plans be grounded.
Prices are unfortunate, but it's not going to stop me from traveling. I think at the end of the day, during these times, you have to budget, figure things out, and, it's not going to stop me traveling.
What's there to figure out? Everybody's freaking broke.
Hey, they're saying that this thing, if this war continues, it could cause a global recession, and if it continues even further, it could cause a global depression.
Welcome to the Global News Podcast from the.
Well, that's the problem right now. The job market globally sucks, and I'm not just talking here because I'm even hearing it overseas that the job market's horrible.
No, but if it goes into recession, it's going to be bad for all of us. You're going to see a lot of these broke ass YouTubers go right back to their homes and shit, man. Like, who's going to be donating to people?
Exactly.
Jay Rello is going to be going back home.
Oh, he's overseas now?
I think he's in Thailand or something like that. Somewhere.
I don't know how people freak. No, I ain't getting into that because
I'm good, bro. I think I just worry about it. I'm still working on my citizenship anyways in Mexico for the paperwork to come through. So I was gonna go to Mexico back anyways, even if it wasn't for the World Cup, because I wanted to stay safe and be there for a few months and roll the wave out, this storm out, weather it out, and see what's gonna happen. But yeah, it sucks, man. You got a World Cup coming up, and a lot of people ain't gonna be leaving because especially the jet fuel gets expensive in Europe. They're not gonna come to the States. It's super expensive as it is to get a hotel, and then plus the jet fuel, food, and it's like, man. Trump really fucked the economy, bro. This is the one chance where he had an opportunity to get so many people into the country to boost the economy off of tourism or whatever, and he oof.
And then that whole ICE thing and stuff like that, man, nobody wants to come over here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think who knows, man, what's gonna happen. I just kind of worry about the recession thing. Like I said, if this war continues, right now Iran hasn't hit up the good targets, like the water purification zones in Saudi Arabia and Dubai and stuff like that. They start hitting that shit, man. It's over for those countries. They don't have no natural water resources and shit, so they're going to be hurting. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think Israel's putting pressure on Trump to strike again. So who knows? Yeah. I just think if this next round is going to be really ugly. I think. Yeah, I think the next round, if there's a next round, I think the gloves are officially going to come off, and they're going to just target every oil infrastructure and the Middle East, and it's going to be belly up. That pipeline that the Saudi Arabia has, that they're saying, we could switch the oil to go to the other side. They could easily knock it out as well. So I don't know what's going to happen, bro.
Well, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look good. And then you're talking about, tourism and transportation is our basic economy right there. That's part of our infrastructure, and globally it's bad. And
my biggest concern is it could trigger Arab uprising, like it happened in 2011. You know how all those countries got rid of their governments. It could happen again with Saudi Arabia, with Dubai, with Kuwait, all those countries. If they start suffering, the people start suffering because they don't have democratic elected officials. They have kings and princes and all that shit over there. So if the people get mad enough, they could overthrow those people. And then my biggest concern is if the petrodollar collapses, bro, our economy would collapse big time because then our dollar would be useless, bro. It's already hitting some countries. I think right now the peso in Colombia is $3 million. When it always used to be $4 or $5 million. It's the lowest it's been in 4 years. So I don't know. I just think traveling could collapse for us Americans. We live abroad is just if the dollar collapses, then how can we live abroad? We're gonna be peasants. You think about it, it's just
yes, especially you're living remotely and, people rely on remote jobs, what's going to happen? It's going to be a collapse.
Mm.
So, even like with me, I have my residency and stuff like that, in Mexico, I can't move because is Mexico going to hire, foreigners? Those are things you got to look at and stuff. So let me get this video started.
Hello, I'm Oliver Conway, and today we're joined by our transport correspondent Theo Leggett. And Theo, we're going to talk about the jet fuel problems caused by the US-Israeli war with Iran. How bad is everything at the moment?
Well, there are pressures building. I think that's what you'd say. The situation at the moment is that the price of jet fuel is very, very high and has been since the start of the conflict. It was at one point more than double what it was at the start of the conflict. It's come back off a little bit, but it's still very, very high. It's already causing some airlines to put up prices, and it's already causing some airlines to cancel flights. And there is talk, and at the moment it is just talk, about a physical shortage. If we continue, particularly in Europe, in the direction we're going in at the moment, that is no fuel supplies coming from the Gulf, where normally about half of Europe's imports come from, then stocks that are held in European countries start to dwindle, and eventually they dwindle to a level where there has to be some kind of prioritization going on, which means that, according to the head of the International Energy Agency, you could see, for example, some airports running out. But these would be localized shortages. Large airports like Heathrow probably wouldn't run out of fuel, or at least not initially, but airlines would at some point, if that continued, have to ration, and that would mean cutting back services.
Yeah, and that's something you guys got to keep in mind. Like for example, say you fly into Thailand, you go to, you land in Bangkok. Now you're trying to go to places like Phuket or Koh Samui. Those are little puddle jumps. You're not going to be able to get to those little puddle jumps and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Those little islands and stuff anymore because, those are short flights. Those are the ones going to be canceled first. So getting to those locations is going to be like hard, or like, you go to Brazil and try to get these little short commuter flights to these other little places and stuff. Those are going to get cut, so those are things you're going to have to look at. They're going to be very, very restrictive or, cut overall. So this is where the problem comes in with these flights.
Yep.
Because all these direct flights are going to be like done. Flights from the US to Venezuela start today. What's the threat level then? Did they change it? If they're allowing flights to the US to Venezuela? Interesting. I got to do research on that.
Cancellations, how many are we talking about as a proportion of all the flights we see every day? What kind of routes, and are certain countries more affected than others?
It depends on the airline, because an airline like Ryanair, for example, is very different from United or American Airlines or British Airways. You've got long-haul carriers, you've got short-haul carriers. Each airline would look at its portfolio and look predominantly at where the profit is and where the consequences of cutting a flight are going to be greatest, also the fuel savings they might make, and they will undoubtedly prioritize the routes which have the highest density, which most people want to travel on, and they might choose to cut flights on routes where they have enough services that it might not make that much difference from a passenger's point of view. Now, the fact is that the high price of fuel is making some routes that might otherwise have been economically viable less profitable. So, for example, this week we've had Lufthansa cutting about 20,000 flights from its summer schedules. Part of that is the closure of part of its business, Lufthansa CityFly, but it's also the impact, quite clearly, of fuel prices going up. Other airlines, for example, United, has said ticket prices could go up 15 to 20%. So it's hard to put a precise figure on it, but it is happening and happening to airlines around the world.
And is it having
I was on mute. Yeah, this is bad, guys. This is really bad, and keep on keeping we're talking about commercial. We haven't even talked about commerce that's being flown over there. Our mail service, like packages and stuff like that. We order stuff from overseas and stuff. That stuff gets flown in. And there's stuff that gets shipped in. There's a whole bunch of stuff that gets in. So basically, our world economy is relying on this oil, and there was no reason even to start this war. None. I'm sitting over there looking at, P. Hegseth and his little stupid ass up in Congress can't even answer a straight ass question.
Oh man, they roasted him the other day, bro. Like, well, what's this war? Well, Iran's gonna have an atomic bomb. They've been saying that for 30 years already, man.
Jesus freaking Christ.
They said the same thing about Saddam Hussein. Like, people don't believe this dude anymore, man.
They don't. It's freaking lies. It's lies, and they're trying to play like, because they're in this position of power, we're smarter than these average little folks that's not in position of power. Are you kidding me? We know a liar when we see one. He just went up there and he said, we obliterated their nuclear facility, and it's like, and the dude caught him. He's like, you said you obliterate them, but what are you doing in this war? Oh, we're just trying to stop their nuclear ambition. Ambition is an emotion, dude. You're bombing someone because of their emotions? You bombing somebody because of their dreams? So that's what we're doing? We bombing someone's dreams?
I'm hearing that also that Trump is having tantrums at the White House. Like, he's like yelling at his advisors. He's behaving like a little mini Hitler and shit, man. But they just kind of like the same thing with the Germans, man. Hey, the Germans believe everything that Hitler was telling them until the Russians got to the German front line or the German border. And for like the longest time, he was telling them they were winning until Berlin started getting shelled. And they're like, oh shit, this guy lied to us. It's the same thing with MAGA supporters. They believe everything that he's saying that, oh, we're winning. When it's not until the gas prices go up even higher, groceries go up, that they're going to realize, oh, we're not really winning. Like, why am I paying like, double for groceries or $7 or $8 or even $10 for a gallon of gas? Like, it's going to sink in. Oh, don't worry. It's going to sink in. He might be impeached too, bro. Like, if this goes like really bad and it causes a recession in the country, he might get impeached.
I'm at this stage right now. We at a recession. There's been no job growth. There's been none.
Mm-hmm.
So there's even no reason at this stage right now to leave, unless you're retired. And I guarantee.
I'm seeing China everywhere. Like in Brazil, almost everybody that picks me up has a BYD car, a Chinese car. Same thing when I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and the same thing when I was in Mexico. I saw nothing but Chinese vehicles, and I'm like, damn, dude, they're really kicking our ass.
Oh, I've seen their cars. I did some research on their cars. Oh my God, I want one.
They're really nice, bro. Because I was like, working at the rental place at the airport. Like, the Tesla vehicles are trash, man. I didn't like any of them. I was like, nah, I'm good. Ugly from the inside. The outside looks okay, but nah.
What I do this for? Shit. Keep messing with me.
In seasons to come, potentially the summer season in Europe, for example, less availability of seats, ticket prices being pushed up anyway by the price of fuel, and therefore passengers having to pay more to get to where they want to go.
And just on the cancellations, if your flight is cancelled, do you get compensation?
Well, you would get a refund if you were unable to fly. The compensation point is a really interesting one, certainly in Europe, where there is a regulation called EU 261, which provides for passengers to be compensated if their flight is delayed or cancelled. And the compensation bill can run into hundreds of euros per passenger, depending on the circumstances. Now, airlines in Europe and in the UK have been lobbying Brussels, the British government, to set out specifically that flights cancelled due to increasing fuel prices or other consequences of the conflict in the Middle East would be considered an exceptional circumstance. And if they're considered an exceptional circumstance, then compensation is not paid out.
We had something like this, but Trump put an executive order even for like delays and stuff like that, he revoked that original order that was by the Biden administration, where you got compensated for any delays and stuff like that. He revoked it. So we don't get that.
The airlines are already lobbying, even though they say at the moment there is no problem, there is no fuel shortage. They are lobbying to make sure that the law is tightened up so that if they do have to cancel flights, they don't have to pay compensation.
Now, we're also seeing the price of petrol at the pumps go up, gas as they call it, in the US. What is it specifically about jet fuel that's causing these specific problems?
There are two issues with jet fuel. One is that a very large part of what we use in Europe comes from the Gulf region, and in particular Kuwait. Those supplies cannot get out at the moment. Now, Europe has been trying to find other supplies of jet fuel. So, for example, you can get jet fuel that's made by Dangote in Nigeria. There may be some extra coming from there. There's been a big effort to get more from the United States. But one of the problems here is that the United States uses a different type of jet fuel to Europe. So Jet A1 is certified for use in Europe, Jet A is certified for use in the United States. Why does that matter? Because US refineries are predominantly geared up to make Jet A. So although some increased supplies are coming across the Atlantic, it's not enough to make up the shortfall. And then you have the situation in East Asia as well. Now, East Asia does make a lot of its own jet fuel, but it relies on crude oil supplies predominantly from the Gulf in order to get the raw material that it makes that jet fuel from. So in other words, it's being hit as well by the crisis in the Gulf, and quite badly. So you have all of this coming together, and ultimately it ends up being a shortage of the refined product that is particularly serious. And that is why you have seen the price of kerosene, of jet fuel, go up far in excess of what's happened with the oil price. The oil price before the conflict was around $68 a barrel. It went up at its highest point to $119. It's now around $100. So it's been moving a lot. It has gone up a lot, but nothing like what we've seen with jet fuel. Jet fuel is a refined product. There are limited areas where it can be made. There are limited supplies, and that's the issue.
And
yeah, and as far as with the oil and stuff, like the whole thing with Venezuela oil that they seize, that's a particular type of oil. It's very thick. And then you have the one up in the Middle East, which is they mix and blend that with that thick oil, for whatever purpose they're using it for. I don't know if it's for regular gasoline or jet fuel or whatever. And since they seized the one in Venezuela, now they're trying to get the one in Iran. But this is crazy, guys. This is ridiculous, and it's just going to screw up the global economy. We're not just talking about us; we're talking about the global economy. Okay, we get things shipped and flown here from different countries. On top of the fact that we're getting tariffs and stuff like that, that's another pain in the butt that's causing all this mess caused by this doofus that's in the White House. This is getting ridiculous. For a war that is not even our war, we have no business being over there. He's being blackmailed. He's compromised. If he's compromised, he shouldn't even be in office. Because he's taking this country in. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk.
in terms of airlines, is there anything they can do both in the short term and in perhaps the longer term to get round these issues?
Well, there are various little tactics they can use to improve their own fuel situation on a flight-by-flight basis. So there's something called tankering, where a aircraft can take off with more fuel than it needs from an airport which has plentiful fuel or cheap fuel or whatever, and then fly to its destination, and then it will have fuel on board to carry on to its next flight without having to top up as much.
Although it will be heavier, so it will presumably use more of it on that route.
That's the argument against it. It's environmentally not a good idea because you are ultimately burning more fuel because the aircraft is heavier. And this has been frowned upon in Europe. There are rules to minimise the amount of tankering that goes on. Airlines in Europe are lobbying the European Commission to temporarily suspend those rules so that they can do a bit of tankering if it helps ease them. Longer term, of course, investment in more efficient aircraft. It's a great idea, but the airlines are already doing that because aviation fuel makes up a large proportion of their costs, so they want to minimize it anyway. They're investing in efficient aircraft. The current generation of aircraft is much more efficient than the previous one, but order books are full. So it's not something you can do overnight. You certainly can't say, there's a crisis going on at the moment, I'll go out and buy some new planes, because those new planes won't be delivered for a number of years.
And if
Now, here's the situation with this whole tankering thing. The ozone layer, it's right now repairing itself. So they're saying the ozone's going to be fixed in about 2040. So we're on the right path because they have cut down a lot of the fuel. So they're not doing this tankering thing because that helped out quite a bit. If they go back to that, it's just going to put a pause in fixing this whole thing. And the only simple thing to do it is just open the Strait of Hormuz, which is already open. It's just the freaking United States is doing a blockade because we got stupidity in the White House. They don't know what they're doing. They're lying their ass off. And all they want to do is just conquer places and stuff like that on behalf of Israel. This is getting to be pathetic, dude. Midterms coming along, clean house. Everybody who's been in there, had their turn, get them out.
Strait of Hormuz were to reopen tomorrow, how long would it take for things to get back to normal?
It depends who you talk to in the industry, but you have to remember that tankers from the Gulf to Europe, say to Rotterdam, take about 5 or 6 weeks normally, and those fuel supplies have to be brought in, have to be processed, and have to be distributed. So again, it wouldn't be overnight. Also, there are a lot of tankers currently in the Gulf that would have to make their way out. There would be something of a traffic jam in the Strait. It's not as though all of that shipping can just come straight out. It can't. What if the infrastructure, the refining infrastructure, has been damaged? There are some unknowns there. And it does take time as well, even if the refineries aren't damaged, to get them back up to speed. That's a process that can take a few weeks as well. So in other words, if you listen to Willie Walsh, the Director General of the International Air Transport Association, the after effects of this, even if we get fuel supplies coming through the Strait pretty quickly, are going to linger for months to come. And that means high prices in terms of jet fuel for months to come, and that does unfortunately mean higher prices for passengers. So even if you don't get your flight cancelled, your holiday plans may go ahead as you want, and if you've booked early, you may not even see a price increase this time round. Future tickets are going to be more expensive and for quite a long time to come.
Theo, thank you very much indeed. Theo Leggett.
Here's what I'm gonna say to you guys: if you got even an inkling to travel, buy your tickets now. You can always postpone your trip if you go directly to the airlines and postpone it. I wouldn't do it through like sites like Orbit or Expedia and stuff. Buy it directly from the airlines, postpone it, and see what happens. If you plan on getting a good airfare, if you wait, that thing, and now I'm gonna be honest with you, next week you're gonna probably see the spikes happening because the so-called ceasefire that's happening right now, it expired, and I think they're gonna go back to fighting again the next, probably this weekend. If he doesn't extend it or anything like that. But this sucks. I ain't gonna lie. And this is like a lot of our commerce stuff on top of that, because no one thought about the shipping and stuff like that, because that takes fuel as well. So this is going to be a global thing now. And if you guys are going to do any traveling, even road trips are going to get expensive. I mean, right now they're telling us we're going to get E15 in our gas. That thing sucks. It ain't going to do much, especially if you live in hot places like Arizona or Texas and stuff like that. That thing just sitting in your car is going to evaporate that ethanol 15. So we're screwed if you even decide to take road trips. So this is a real bad situation because we got bad leadership, spineless leaders, spineless politicians. We're all in a mess right now. So wherever you can save, I suggest you guys do it. Traveling, I wouldn't be rushing to travel nowhere. I would just try to save and save, get rid of your bills. If you can try to escape this nightmare, God bless you. I'm gonna try to come back with some more info to keep you guys abreast on this stuff, but this sucks, bro. But let's see what happens, man. But anyway, thanks for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'm gonna kill it now. I'll come back with some more intel for you guys, keep you guys abreast, and I'll see you guys later.